Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X-Men number 68, cover dated October 1997. And this is part of the Operation Zero Tolerance event. And the cover is by Carlos Pacheco, inked by Thibert, and coloured by Liquid. Features Marrow. We've got the cover caption, Desperate Measures. This is a creative homage to John Byrne and Terry Austin's seminal cover to issue 141 of the X-Men, the first of the Days of Future Past series, and the implication is by these wanted posters in the background that there is the possibility that Operation Zero Tolerance is leading to that dystopian future for mutants. So let's open this one up to the splash page, and this picks up from the end of the previous issue where Marrow cut the lights in the Soho police station, in which Iceman and Cecilia are being held by Charlotte Jones, but in effect she's under the thumb of Bastion's Prime Sentinels, and the Sentinels are standing outside the interview room and getting ready to terminate Cecilia and Iceman. So the art here is not by Carlos Pacheco. We have a little joke here in the background, wanted Pacheco, where is Pacheco? The artist here is Pasqual Ferry, but the inker remains Thibert, and obviously we have Marrow there hiding in the shadows, where these two security guys are downstairs in the basement looking to see what happened to the lights. So we've got a lot of narrative captions about the two guys. Never mind that. Let's turn the page. They spy Marrow's bones that she's used to destroy the junction box or the fuse box in the basement, and then she dives down from the ceiling at them and knocks them out with her bones, with the what would I say, like the handle of her bone daggers. So she knocks them unconscious rather than kills them, and I guess that's her exercising some restraint. And here we get the title Heart of the Matter, and there's a kind of like a theme running through the third person narration concerning hearts, because the scripter picks up on the fact that we did see Marrow die, apparently in quotation marks, in issue 325 of Uncanny X-Men, when Storm pulled her heart out. So how is it that she is alive? Well, we'll get the answer to that here in the narrative captions. But what is the title of the story? Yes, Heart of the Matter, as I said. And the creative team here, Scott Lobdell on plot and Steve Seagle on script. So that's Steven T. Seagle. And obviously what we can discern from this is that Lobdell is overstretched and can't script this issue himself. So calling on another writer to do that for him. And that's kind of been happening of late. Stretched too thin to do all the writing in terms of scripting himself. We have Pasqual Ferry there, the guest penciler, Thibert on inks, and Chris Lichtner and Aaron Luzon of Liquid Graphics on the digital colors, Richard Starkings and Comicraft digital letters. So, nice image there of Marrow standing over the unconscious security men. And we have, as I said, the narrative caption that explains a few things. Her name is Marrow, and she's had her heart ripped out, literally. The pickpocket turned weather goddess turned X-Man known as Storm tore it out from her in heated battle, apparently killing Marrow instantly. So that was 325 of Uncanny X-Men. Then she got better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. It turned out she had a second heart. So that's convenient, eh? The result of her unique physiology, and its beat has driven her up from the decayed underground metropolis she calls home, the Morlock tunnels. She's surfaced in the middle of the very police station that harbours X-Man Bobby Drake, aka Iceman, and the newly discovered mutant Dr. Cecilia Reyes. Unfortunately, the structure also houses a number of Sentinel Prime units who have zero tolerance for bone-shedding mutants like Marrow. Looks like she picked the wrong day to crawl out of the sewers. So we're all caught up then in terms of who she is, but also the business about having a convenient second heart. Very, very convenient, in order that she continue to be a character in the X-Men comics. So we've got an interesting outside angle on the Soho police station, in which Cecilia and Iceman are being detained. And I've mentioned before in the video on issue 67 that this design of the police station is exactly the police station in Frank Miller's Elektra Lives Again, 1990. And I'm just wondering whether Carlos Pacheco was using that and now Pasqual Ferry is continuing with it, or if there is indeed a police station in Soho that has this architectural design. Maybe somebody in the comments can enlighten me on that one. So here's Charlotte Jones, and she is thinking about the moral choices she has made. She has elected to help the agents of Operation Zero Tolerance because they're holding her son. You are the breath in my lungs, boy, she thinks to herself, and I want you back more than I want my next breath. But I'm also a cop and I have a responsibility to Bobby and Dr. Reyes. Bobby's an old friend. That's from X Factor days. I got him into this mess and I have to help him get him out of it. But is what's morally right worth risking your life? Timmy, I swear by all that's holy, I do not know. So we'll see what the story is with Timmy at the end of this issue. 23 pages of story and art, and the final page gives us some info on what's happening with him. Then we switch to the interrogation room. We've got some back and forth there between Cecilia and Iceman, but he's trying to discern who's on the other side of the glass. And Cecilia is kind of, she is irritated at having been removed from the life that she wanted as a doctor and being involved in all of this action and danger. So she says here, we're locked in a police interrogation room because I was dumb enough to trust you when you said trust me. Furthermore, both of us are in the same room, which the real police would never do, making me doubt that they even are police in the first place. And you tell me everything's cool. And Iceman says, keep it down. I am doing something, just needed a minute to see if. And then he says, bingo. Bingo what? I can see the reds of the whites of their eyes. We're not alone. Get down now, he says. So there they are outside, the Prime Sentinels in the uniforms of police, and they burst in through the mirror. And Iceman there says, Cecilia, activate your force field, hurry, because that's her mutant power. And she rather irritably replies, my powers don't come with an on-off switch like yours, Drake. I'm a doctor. My superpower is saving lives. So her powers only work on instinct when she's attacked rather than by mental command. Now, of course, readers would be thinking maybe Professor X could help her with that. Of course, Professor X is a prisoner of Bastion in a repurposed Hulkbuster base. But we won't see any Professor X in this particular issue. So the Prime Sentinels are attacking. Cecilia is standing there behind Iceman, and the Sentinels are getting ready to fire. That's a pretty decent, almost double page spread there. You can see that the digital colouring is being used for the shattered mirror and also for Iceman's ice form as well. So there's an explosion, and what has happened now? The back wall, the impact blew us clear through the back wall. We might actually stand a chance. So then there are real police, human police there as well. So they're right in the middle of human police on one side and the Prime Sentinels on the other. And Iceman wonders aloud, I wonder if Scott ever had days like this. Cecilia doesn't know Scott Summers, of course. Iceman replies, nothing, just wondering how things could get any worse. Well, the scene switches to the White House, and Senator Robert Kelly is having some regrets about his role in Operation Zero Tolerance. So he thinks to himself, zero tolerance? Isn't that what the Nazis had for the Jews in the last World War? Have I ushered in a new age of the same old hatred in a shiny new wrapper? My soul's been ripped out of me by mutants at every turn because of my ideals. My life almost rubbed out in the assassination attempt. And that's a callback all the way to Uncanny X-Men 142. And also a reference to his wife Sharon being murdered. A callback to issue 246 and 47. I have a responsibility, he continues, thinking to himself, to the people of this country to spare them the miseries I've been handed, protect them from a very real danger. So that's always been the way that Senator Kelly's been characterized, as someone who's trying to do the right thing by his own lights. But his lights are ones that basically see mutants as a threat to regular humans, Homo sapiens, normal Homo sapiens. And he's got what shall I say, a compatriot who is the National Security Agency agent, Henry Peter Gyrick, and formerly a government liaison with the Avengers. And he's been involved in Operation Zero Tolerance too, and he represents another perspective, a hard-nosed, practical perspective on what's been going on. So he says to Senator Kelly, lose the self-pity, Robert. It doesn't suit you. Besides, the only thing you're guilty of is looking out for the best interests of the American people. You can live with that, can't you? And Kelly replies, best interests? Ordinary American civilians are getting mowed down in the crossfire of this initiative. Is that acceptable? Gyrick replies, there's always going to be some friendly fire in any battle. Nature of the beast. And Kelly thinks it's insane. And Gyrick replies, for insane times. So long as things check out on balance, I can live with it. You should too. So Gyrick, as I said earlier, hard-nosed, unsentimental, and takes a line on the mutant problem that allows for civilian casualties and the kinds of things that Kelly's losing the stomach for. So he says to Gyrick, whether you want to admit it or not, it's going to be up to us to get Bastian out of Operation Zero Tolerance. We're going to have to drive whatever kind of stake we need through his dark heart. I'll do what I can with the president, and you can do whatever it is you do. So he bids Gyrick good night, and he walks into this situation room with slumped shoulders. And he says, gentlemen, we have a problem to address, a very big problem. So things are happening at a political level regarding Operation Zero Tolerance. But then we're back in that Soho police station, and the human police there are taking cover from the Prime Sentinels. And we've got Iceman, of course, using his powers to fight back against the Prime Sentinels. So let's continue with this. He blows a hole in the wall and creates a massive ice slide for the normal police and civilians to slide down to safety because he's concerned to protect them. Can't believe I managed to do all that without getting shot through the heart from behind by a sentinel, he says. Must be an angel looking out. And there was, in the form of Cecilia Reyes, who stopped some shots at his back with her mutant power, her shielding power. And so Iceman is grateful. You're a lifesaver, Doc. Thanks, I owe you. And he says, and I'm going to return the favor with this ice dome. So she's baffled. An igloo? What good is that going to do, as we aren't Eskimos? It's going to protect us from the ceiling above, he says, which should be collapsing about now. So he's bringing the structure down on the Prime Sentinels there. But downstairs in the building, the prisoners are getting ready to bust loose when their path is stopped by Marrow. She says, you'll be a lot safer in there with the other criminals, Upworlder, than you will be out here with me. So they back off, and we know that she's going to meet up with Cecilia and Iceman at a certain point. One of these Prime Sentinels emerges from the rubble, and Charlotte Jones jumps in between the Sentinel's blast and Iceman, who was going to get shot in the back. And she takes it in the shoulder. So let's continue, get past the advertisements. So she's wounded, but not fatally. And Iceman is upset. Hear me, Sentinels, you've gone too far, you hear me. And Cecilia, in her, I don't know, she's always kind of irritable. She says to him, they can hear you in Queens. Now shut up and get your cold hand over here. I need an anesthetic. She helped you. It's your turn to help her. So Iceman replies, look, I've pulled the moisture out of the air around their area. It won't hold them for long. We have to get out of here now. So Cecilia uses some whiskey to sterilize the wound. She bandages it. And Charlotte asks in her confused state, what happened? A miracle, he replies. And that is the dialogue to switch to somewhere on the Manhattan docks, Lower East Side, as this security guard is singing a Barry Manilow number, and he happens to run into a couple of criminals who are there to rob the place, and he's saved by none other than Sabra. And the guy asks, who in the world? And she replies, if you'd asked where in the world, I would have answered Israel. But that doesn't make any sense. She's come from Israel, but she's in New York. In any case, she continues and says, but as you asked who, fellow soldier, you may refer to me as Sabra. I'm following a trail that has led me here, but these men are not the objects of my quest. You may take credit for them in your report. Good night, she says. And off she goes. So we know that she's going to link up with Iceman and Cecilia and Marrow too. And here we go. So Marrow arrives on the scene and Charlotte explains why she betrayed Iceman and Cecilia to the Prime Sentinels. Her son, Timmy, please, they have him, she says. So Iceman there, he's wondering what's going on. And Charlotte reveals, said they'd kill him if I didn't deliver you. And Cecilia is aghast. Kill him, he's a little boy. And I like this bit with Marrow. Marrow arrives finally, having made her way all the way up from the basement. Boo flipping who, she says. Scads of my people died. Callisto, who means the world to me, is barely clinging to life. I even met my maker. And who came to our rescue? Who was there to save the Morlocks? So she sees things from her darker perspective. She continues, heart of ice in all of you when it comes to a race you deem undesirable, but put a pretty surface child in danger and the world stops spinning. Cecilia asks, who or what is she? Your destiny if you don't show me respect, lady. She replies, okay, let's continue with this. There's a little bit of facing off there between Iceman and Marrow. And Marrow says, you do well to respect me too, I'm your backup, because she's fulfilling a promise she made to Callisto to go help the X-Men. And Cecilia there responds dryly, now there's a comforting thought. I think the woman's stabilized. If the two of you want to quit posturing and actually make a move now, she might live through a trip down to the station's infirmary. So Marrow replies in character, who cares if the human lives? We need to protect our own kind, not. And Cecilia replies, I'm not your kind by any definition, and that human has as much right to live as any. So they're going to get into an argument, but Iceman stops them and he says, I think we can all agree that we'd be better off fighting one another somewhere away from here instead of being killed here by Sentinels, so let's go. So they're out on the street now. Good background work there by Pasqual Ferry for the avenues and streets of New York City. But look, everywhere's deserted. And Iceman wonders, wait a minute, I know what's happening here. That collapsed roof isn't what stopped those Sentinels from finishing the fight back in the station. So Cecilia asks in English, again, she's so irritable. All that remains to be seen. We're being set up. Oh yeah, that's the third person narration, which really wasn't necessary in this issue at all. One of the things that I often notice is that when a story is being plotted by one writer and another writer is given the task of scripting the issue, they overwrite it. Too much dialogue, too much in the way of third person narration. Obviously they feel an impulse, a duty to earn their paycheck, but they overdo it. So none of the third person narration, the text boxes in yellow in this issue need to be there at all. Everything could be told smoothly, coherently, just with the dialogue of the characters. So anyway, they turn the corner. What are these bright lights on the other side of the corner? Well, we get a double page spread. We do not need that panel at all. Just this would have been fine across the 2 pages. And yeah, it's Prime Sentinels. They look like they mean business as well. So Marrow, Iceman and Cecilia are in trouble now. And of course, Sabra is out there in Manhattan too. So we have to assume and expect that she's going to arrive just in the nick of time to help them out against the Sentinels. And then final page, we find out what the story is with Charlotte Jones's boy, Timmy. There's a woman who seems to be supervising him. You miss your mother, don't you? She asks him, and he replies, yes, ma'am. But you know, I've told you she's working deep undercover to earn enough money to provide a better life for you both. She asked me to look after you until she can come back to collect you. And the woman says to Timmy, but what, Timmy? But the whole world just seems so unfair sometimes. Life is almost never fair, Timothy. Count on that, count on it. It's kind of a weird way to end the issue. This page, I feel, if indeed it needed to be a whole page, should have come earlier in the issue, and this is where we should end. So where would I put that page? I put it somewhere around here, that we knew that Timmy's okay. And then we get a couple of pages of letters here. There's never anything interesting in the letters pages anymore. Next issue, Operation Zero Tolerance, comes to a resounding climax, and it's about time. It's really dragged on. I kind of feel that the last, like, issue 67 and issue 68 could have been, in terms of the narrative content, in terms of the plot, combined into one issue. Everything could have been cut down into one issue. Yeah, it's dragged, this story, for me. And the X-Men, as you know them, will be profoundly changed. Well, we're promised that every 6 months in these comics. So there's advertisement here for Heroes Reborn: The Return. So you can see some art there by Salvador Larroca, and an advertisement for Journey into Mystery, which had become an anthology type comic during this time period. And there you go. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed my review and commentary on X-Men number 68. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments section. If you enjoyed my commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.